Bum bum be dim bum 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 be. Hey, a month has passed. I've read 3 books.
Did you notice last time
that I did this? It's so beautiful now. All I do is stare at it when I'm on my bed. I look up and I'm like, oh God, it feels so good to look at this. Look at it. Look at the colors below the shelf. You don't have to see below the shelf.
This is what matters, and I love it.
So I watched a bunch of movies this month. I've been rewatching Breaking Bad this month. Can't wait to talk about that. And I read 3 books: the new Coho, Frankly in Love, and an Arc. Let's jump right into it, people. I'm excited. Welcome to Stories I Ate this month.
Off the hook, but the phone never rang. Beast on the beats, no claws, no fangs.
We're gonna start things off with Frankly in Love by David Yoon. This is our September Booksplosion Book of the Month. We were working with Penguin, and oh my God, I loved this so much. I finished this in 2 days. It was so good. I actually wanted to read it so much that I ended up buying it on my Kindle app so that I'd have it with me at all times so that when I don't bring the book, I could still read it. So this is about a boy in high school named Frank Lee. His parents are Korean immigrants, and they are really adamant about him dating a Korean girl and marrying a Korean girl. And they're very set in their ways about it. Like, there's no discussion. And Frank develops this crush on a white girl in his class named Britt, and they start seeing each other. He's very afraid of his parents finding out. So he comes up with this fake dating scheme that he thinks is going to solve all his problems here. And things unravel from there. It's very funny. It's very thought-provoking. I found myself highlighting different passages and relating to so many things that he said. It deals a lot with family. Jodi Picoult's blurb is perfect. I love this book, which miraculously manages to be a love story, a treatise on racism, a peek into adolescence, and a welcome to Korean American culture. It warmed my heart. It made me cry. It made me giggle. It was just everything I want in a contemporary book. I'm so happy it was our book of the month. Definitely highly recommend. And look at these pages. The first movie I watched this month was Can You Keep a Secret? A movie adaptation of Sophie Kinsale's novel Can You Keep a Secret? Starring Tyler Hoechlin and Alexandra Daddario. So Can You Keep a Secret was one of those rom-coms that's like, it's cute, but it didn't quite get there. There was only one moment where I laughed. It was missing something to take it to that level of, you know? I rented it because it was immediately available on video on demand. There's something just about the distribution of character development in this that made it so I couldn't feel too attached to the couple. Tyler Hoechlin's character has like no character development at all. I'll give the film a C+. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you saw this too and how it compared to the book for you. I haven't read Can You Keep a Secret. The first TV show I watched is actually a TV show that I watched last month, and I forgot to mention. 3rd season of 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. This show has so many trigger warnings, and it's very important to take them seriously if you are considering watching it. I've been watching this since the 1st season, and it's like crack to me, this show. Once I start watching it, all I do for the next 24 hours is watch until I'm finished. Season 2 I thought was a little busy. They just brought in so many issues at once. It was like this explosion of different storylines. It was almost like overload. It's hard to zero in on any specific character because it was like, this dramatic thing's happening, this dramatic thing's happening, this dramatic thing's happening. But season 3, they're doing this thing where they're trying to humanize Bryce. The plot was more stripped down. I just found it really interesting. They were doing this thing where they go back and forth between now and like 6 months ago, and it would just constantly go back and forth between these two storylines. When you start the season, you're kind of confused. Like, wait, hold on. Is this now or was this before? And you eventually catch on because they've used different color palettes. The past timeline is shot warm and bright, and the present timeline is shot cold and gray like Twilight is. They do these transitions that I think they thought were cool between the two timelines where like we'd be in the same room and then it would pan and it would get brighter and the person would be on the other side of the room because they just went back in time, but they do it so much that I was like, okay guys, you could just transition. Like, I don't need this anymore. Enough. It was cool, and then he did it like 100 times, and then I'm just like, it's fine. You don't have to go through that stress. We understand that we're going back and forth. This season's getting poor reviews from everyone. I enjoyed it. I think they did a good job with the storytelling. No matter how you slice it, it's a very thought-provoking show. I also really love a whodunit, and this season was straight up whodunit. You're constantly theorizing. I'd give this season a B. I'd love to get your take on it because I haven't talked to anyone in real life about it. The next thing I watched this month was Aziz Ansari's his new comedy special right now. I really, really loved what he did with this comedy special. It was funny, it was poignant, it was genuine. I turned this on one night because I saw it on Netflix and I was planning to sit and watch maybe 5 minutes of it on my break before I went back to work, and I ended up sitting there for the whole hour. It's a great special. Highly recommend it. I give it an A. The next movie I saw this month was Joker. Now, I've talked about this a lot on my socials because I was fortunate enough to be brought out to the Toronto International Film Festival to see the premiere of Joker in North America, which was amazing. Thank you, Warner Brothers Pictures. The film itself is terrifying. It makes you extremely uncomfortable because it addresses a certain horrifying truth. It really makes you feel and think in a lot of different directions. You know, and that's what art's supposed to do. So many things about it really hit me. The score, the acting, the connections to different things we already know about Gotham City and the DC universe. It was so well edited and paced. It's this slow burn. It gets an A from me. I also saw Hustlers this month, which was so unexpectedly good. It wasn't like a feel-good movie by any means, but it was a really raw story, filmed and put together super well and acted super well. I mean, I'm blown away. I'm constantly blown away by J-Lo. Her athleticism, her acting, her resistance to aging. Lily Reinhardt is in this film, which was a surprise. I was like, oh hey, I'm gonna give it a B+. The next TV show I watched this month was unbelievable. And it is this chilling series on Netflix. The lead is based on a real person, and it was just this horrifying story that chilled me. I was so anxious watching it. It was so well done. I was so anxious. I wouldn't recommend watching it if it's something that's gonna affect your mental health in that negative way. Like, I don't regret watching it, but I do regret watching it when I was watching it because I was already super anxious. It is about this girl who was raped, and the cops can't find any evidence, and so they coerce her into thinking that she made it up. She's so taken aback and she's so traumatized from what happened. She kind of convinces herself that it didn't happen, and it's just horrible. It's just horrible, and there's this serial rapist on the loose. Other cops, years later, finally are on his trail and trying to catch him. I couldn't stop watching it because it was so well done, and I needed to see that she, you know, something good happened for her eventually. So, I mean, the show gets an A, and if you watched it, you know how good it is. The next film that I saw was Astra, starring Brad Pitt. This is a story that takes place in, like, the near future, and it's a future where we've made it to the moon and colonized there, and we made it to Mars. There's a human base on Mars. Brad Pitt's father is this famous astronaut that was sent out on the first mission to monitor deep space. They're actually assumed to be dead because they haven't heard from them in ages, and Brad Pitt is sent to go fix whatever is up out there. It's a slow burn, and it's beautifully shot. There's very little dialogue, but it's definitely a character story that keeps you in there with Brad. It's not my favorite type of a film, but I can appreciate it, and I enjoyed it. John loved it. It's very much a father-son story. I love going from planet to planet like it was nothing with Brad Pitt. So I'm gonna give the film an A-. The final book that I read this month was the new Coho, coming out December 10th of this year, so it's not out yet. It's coming out December 10th, and that is Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I was so excited when I got this in the mail. I screeched. And then I did like 50 Instagrams about how excited I was. And I finished it in like 2 seconds. I binge read it. I saw Colleen posted on her Instagram a bunch of reviews about how this reminds people of old school her. And while I think that all of Colleen's books have old school Colleen in them, old school, I can see what they mean because the past like batch of releases from Colleen have just been more intense. Like, she always tackles these intense, heart-wrenching issues. And then more recently, they've been super sad and intense, or super intense. And this is just like regular sad intense. And there's so much cutesiness. There's so much romance happening along the way, woven beautifully together amongst the drama and sadness happening. When it comes down to it, this is a story about a mother and a daughter, and it's told from the point of view of the mother and her daughter. I loved that. They both have their own romance lines going on. I love that I was just as into both storylines. It was really great. It was funny, it was heartwarming, it was devastating. It was everything I love about Colleen's books. Verity is an extreme, and all Your Perfects is an extreme, Hopeless is an extreme, but Slammed is more on the happy-go-lucky scale. This is definitely one of the happier Colleen books, and you're gonna read it and you're gonna be like, no, but it is. I was giddy throughout 90% of this book, even though it's tragic in so many ways. Liv Daughter's love interest, Miller, is my favorite. I loved it. I'm gonna try to sit down and figure out what my coho ordering is now, and I'll put it in my Regretting You Bookstagram description. I used to know, and now I don't anymore. And the last thing I watched this month, rewatched this month, was Breaking Bad. Now, I haven't finished this rewatch yet, but I watched seasons 1, 2, and up through season 3, episode 10, so I'm almost done with season 3 because there's only 13 episodes. If you haven't watched Breaking Bad yet, and evidently people haven't. Was it 2009 when it started? It was huge when I was in college. Everyone was talking about it. It was one of those shows that the next day the world is discussing. Everywhere. At coffee tables, in my classes, on YouTube, on Twitter, everywhere people were talking about the show because it is a perfect show. It's not my perfect show. Like, it's not Westworld, which is my perfect show. It's sad. It's sad, but it's so good, and it gets less sad, or it gets sad in a different way as you go along. It gets less sad and more intense. It's just cinematically beautiful, and the writing is fantastic all the way through until the end where the world was watching. I remember the first time I watched this, I liked Walt, and now rewatching it, Walt has been an ass since day one. I think I excused this the first time because he was just going through a lot, but it's not an excuse to be so terrible. Like, he's just terrible. It's just so good. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix right now, and there's a movie coming out, which is why I'm rewatching it, called El Camino. It comes out October 11th, and I want to be all rewatched and ready because I haven't seen this since it ended in 2013 or 2014. I've only watched it through once, but there's so many iconic episodes. Like, every episode is good, but there's so many that are just burned into my brain. I just saw the episode with the fly, and I remember the first time I saw this, I was frustrated, and this time I was like, wow. The episode 1 minute, the opening episode of season 3, there's only 5 seasons. You can catch up. In season 1, there's only 8 episodes. It gets an A+. Jesse, poor Jesse, is the real star of this show. I'm so glad he's getting more story. Just a few announcements really quick. I'm going to be moderating Marie Lou's Rebel event this Wednesday tomorrow at the Grove in LA. And I will be at YALLFest this year. I'm doing a signing on Friday, and there's going to be a Booksplosion meetup on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Christine. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter at XTeenMay. I make videos every Tuesday. Let me know what your favorite things you watched and read this month were. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.